IllinoisPolicy.org is a site that you should visit quite frequently. Have bookmarked. They've got stuff for everybody in Illinois to absorb. And the great thing about them is, they're quick with a critique, but they're also even quicker with solutions. And, anybody can throw a rock, but these guys actually, they'll throw the rock and then they'll tell you how to rebuild the window. So, Illinois Policy are some folks you should lean on. In particular, our friend Adam Schuster, who is Director of Budget and Tax Research. Adam was going to be on with us yesterday, but we had a canine emergency at the Schuster household. Adam, good morning.
Morning, Riley. Thanks for having me back. Thanks for being flexible.
Oh, always. Glad to have you back. We got to know, man. First off, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Vizsla named Ragnar after the famous Viking, and he's doing much better today. Nice.
We figure out what was going on?
Not with certainty. We thought it might have been like kennel cough. He was coughing and actually made himself vomit a little bit yesterday, which is why I was so flustered and freaking out. But then the rest of the day, he kind of went back to normal. So now I'm not really sure what it was, if it was just an allergic reaction, but right now he seems to be doing well.
Vizslas are beautiful dogs. We've got Weimaraners ourselves, so that we're very close.
Very close.
In types of dogs, and I understand completely. And, I got a nice note from Rachel afterwards, and I just said, hey, no apology is necessary here. We're dog guys. Something like that comes up, one of us is likely to bolt out of the studio. So, no harm, no foul. We're glad Ragnar's doing better, resting comfortably. Everything's calmed down at your household.
Absolutely.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, let's get to the topic at hand. And, of course, that's the progressive tax. I have a quote here from someone that we respect, said, in a state where families already pay more of their income towards state and local taxes than residents of any other state, Governor Pritzker's tax hike will extend far beyond the wealthy few, unfairly hitting seniors, small businesses, and working families with a higher tax bill year after year. That person was you. That's a quote from you.
That's right. And I think that's what voters really need to know about this tax, is that Governor Pritzker is selling it as a tax only on the rich. He's promising that, people making over $250,000 a year will pay more and everyone else will pay the same or less. But this is not the experience of other states with progressive income taxes. In half of the states that have a progressive income tax, the maximum tax rate applies to the middle class. And so we know that this is really a power grab for Springfield. It's about not only removing the flat tax protection from the Constitution, but also removing the prohibition that there can only be one income tax at a time. It would allow for double or even triple taxation on the same dollar earned, and it paves the way towards taxing retirees' income for the first time in the state. So this is the Pandora's box of Springfield taxing powers.
Wow, it really is. One of the points that you make is across the nation, 32 states have a progressive income tax system. They all tax retirement income. However, here in Illinois, 3 out of 4 of us oppose taxing retirement income, according to a poll from the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute.
That's right. Illinoisans are very against taxing retirees' income. It's one of the few advantages we have in a very uncompetitive tax code that otherwise, drives people out of the state. And we see in the data, when you look at census migration data, that every age group is leaving Illinois, but people above the age of 65 are leaving at the lowest rate compared to the size of their population. Now, if you look over at Connecticut, which was the last state to implement a progressive income tax back in 1996, they do tax retiree income. And in that state, retirees leave the state at twice the rate of people in their working years. So we know that, the exemption of retirement income is really important to seniors, and yet we have progressive tax proponents from, State Senator Daniel Biss to the current treasurer Michael Frericks, the Chicago Sun-Times editorial board, all saying that the progressive income tax is step one towards implementing a retirement income tax in the state.
Yeah, you point out a quote from Michael Frericks, Chamber of Commerce event in Des Plaines last month. One thing a progressive tax would do is make clear you can have graduated rates when you were taxing retirement income, and I think that's something worth discussion.
That's right. And it's ultimately the same reason that this would make it easier for them to raise taxes on the middle class. It's the same reason it makes it easier for them to tax retiree income, because a progressive tax system allows them to segment the population. They don't have to hike everyone's taxes at once. They can do it in a gradual way that's less likely to generate voter backlash. But ultimately, the result is that the taxes are going to continue to go up on working families, seniors, and the small businesses that are the backbone of our state, and that we've already been struggling to keep over the last 10 years. So the last thing we need to do is hit them with higher taxes and double down on the same failed strategies that Springfield's been pursuing.
So Illinois has led the Midwest in outbound migration for a good number of years. This doesn't seem to be anything that would slow that down in any way.
Not at all, because there's two reasons that people leave this state when you look at the polling data. One is they say that the taxes are too high, taxes are lower in other states, and the second one is that there's better job opportunities in other states. The progressive income tax would make taxes higher, and it would make job opportunities worse because it would hit up to 100,000 Illinois businesses, small businesses, with higher tax rates. This is not just about individuals who are the quote-unquote rich, according to Governor Pritzker. Businesses that make over a certain amount of income per year as well are facing a tax hike because they file, oftentimes S corporations, partnerships, and the like, file under the individual income tax code. So small businesses could see up to a 47% increase in their income taxes as a result of this amendment.
Now, then this is coming in the midst of this sledgehammer that COVID-19 has laid onto this state. Taking the macro view and taking all the percentages and little facts and figures out, but just looking at it from the macro, why in the world would you not want to at least put the brakes on this until we can get some steady footing under ourselves?
That's a great question. And when the coronavirus hit, we, as well as some members in the General Assembly, said maybe it's time to rethink this thing. When you proposed it, we were in the midst of an economic expansion. We were opposed at the time because we still thought it would have been harmful to the state and was taking us in the wrong direction. But when you have a massive national recession where we've lost every job that was created over the last decade since the Great Recession, then it changes the calculus. And even former Democratic President Barack Obama said, you do not hike taxes in a recession, and he's right on the economics. And that's something that people agree on from the left to the right when you're talking about economists and public policy professionals. You do not hike taxes before or during or just after a recession. That's going to make the recession a lot worse. And so, this should have been pulled off the ballot. The General Assembly did not do that, but voters still have the opportunity to reject it in November.
If you're just joining us, we're spending some time with Adam Schuster. He's Senior Budget and Tax Research Director at Nonpartisan Illinois Policy Institute, IllinoisPolicy.org. Could you give us a little bit of an explanation on the double or even triple taxation that would be allowed if the flat tax protections are removed?
Sure. So in the current Constitution, in the income tax powers provision, it says that there can only be one tax levied on the income of individuals and one tax levied on the income of businesses. This completely removes that language without replacing it with any similar protection. So the idea here is they could do things like special income tax surcharges. So, for example, they could have the regular income tax rates that everyone pays, and then they could decide to tack on, say a 1% tax for pensions or a 1% tax for public safety, where they're taxing literally the same dollar of income multiple times. And this Constitution would give the General Assembly the power to do that for the first time. So far, they have not proposed legislation to do that. But the point here, again, is that, this is the camel's nose under the tent. This is Pandora's box. And if you give greater taxing power to Springfield politicians, there's all kinds of ways they can use it. Given their track record and their runaway spending and debt, we know that they will use it.
Yeah, third tax increase in what? In 10 years, and what do we have to show for it?
Absolutely nothing. Not only has the tax hike not been effective, it's actually made things worse because our debt burdens have continued to grow. Since the first income tax hike in 2011, the net debt of the state has quadrupled. So, the idea that tax hikes are the way out of this is absolutely just disproven by the data. And you can also see that, that's when the exodus started. That's when businesses and individuals really started leaving the state at high rates because it massively increased the state's total tax burden. And then when they hiked taxes again in 2017, it brought our state's total tax burden from about 10th in the nation to at least 6th in the nation. It could actually be a little bit higher than that. We're waiting on updated data, but we're at least 6th highest tax burden in the nation. Bringing that up even more isn't going to change anything fundamentally. We need to get our debt and our spending under control so we can talk about lowering taxes and trying to retain the residents and businesses that are so critical towards economic growth and therefore long-term revenue for the state.
Adam, I haven't seen any polling on it that's been done statewide on what the temperature is of the public on this progressive tax. Have you?
We monitor trends, and we try to watch out for polling. And I think what we've seen is that it's been a close race. There's the more informed people become about the progressive income tax, the less they like it. And so I think opposition has started to rise as the same time that, the support for this thing has started to wane. And I think that's appropriate because, again, the recession and COVID-19 changed the equation quite a bit. And hiking taxes is absolutely the wrong thing to do right now.
And I saw an online ad just the other day that is really pounding the not progressive tax. It's a fair tax. We want this to be fair, and they're using the soft music, and they're illustrating people who are really well heeled, and they're showing people who are not so much. We just want things to be fair for everybody. But as you point out here, it doesn't look like it'll be fair for anyone.
Yeah, there's nothing fair about giving greater taxing power to Springfield so that they can hit seniors, small businesses, and working families with higher taxes to feed their spending and debt habits. There's absolutely nothing fair about it. Unfortunately, the entire campaign is, being run on misinformation. In fact, some of the language on the ballot that, when voters go to vote, there'll be arguments for and against from proponents and opponents. And the proponents' arguments are just riddled with factual inaccuracies. So it's critically important that people, share accurate information and get informed ahead of time because this is a really important decision for the state. And if I could just, take from your what you always introduce us with, you could go to illinoispolicy.org and we'll keep you up to date with all the latest information and give you plenty of stuff you can share with others.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you guys will learn so much every single day by going to illinoispolicy.org and make sure you check out Adam's stuff. He is Director of Budget and Tax Research and proud owner of a Visa who's feeling a lot better today, and that's the key to all of it. Adam, thanks a lot for the time and the expertise as always. We'll look forward to getting together again real soon.
Thanks very much, Riley.